Want to see a gadget or a gizmo?
Yeah, I would love to see a gadget or gizmo. What is it? It's a lightsaber. Oh.
Oh, yeah.
What are you doing? This is really unpleasant. Why are you doing that? Just for the benefit of people at home, Raf's pointing a high-powered flashlight in my eye. Gadget guys love flashlights. I find it hard to get into. I respect flashlights. I think they're an interesting little doohickey. I think they're a cool gadget. I get there's like they've got stats and stuff. Like, oh, it's got X amount of lumens. Like I get that, like, and as I see that people are like, mine's 50,000 lumens, mine 90,000 lumens or whatever. Like, I get the competitive aspect, but like flashlights themselves, I can't get into as a gadget. Like, there are boys that love those like ones that are so highly powered that you turn them on that you can hear like the fan whipping up. Yeah. And I've seen like TikToks of guys, there's a classic TikTok that I love. It's a guy, he's like standing up on the balcony. I've seen it. He's standing up on the balcony of like a hotel in Florida. And obviously he was part of the community that had been G'ing him up, like, shine it. And he goes, okay. And he turns it on and it's dead set like the fucking... It's like a spotlight. And it illuminates like a kilometre that way. And you can see the reflection coming back from houses that are like a kilometre away. And like you hear like the... And then he turns it off straight away because I can't leave that on. That I get.
That actually is a half-decent segue because we have a guest this week, Tim Stewart.
Audibly laughing.
Now, I only say the segue, it's a niche segue, but this involves Inner West Mayor Darcy Byrne, who we're big fans of, who you have interacted with, I would say, multiple times.
Yes.
But the owner of this flashlight that I was flashing around, Joyride, who probably might get another mention later on in the episode, we never know, he had an interaction with him. Because Mayor Darcy, the rightful mayor of the Inner West, when Vivid was happening, apparently like Vivid, like, you know, the Vivid committee or whatever, allegedly, and this is also just me remembering and misremembering something, allegedly denied Inner West's application to be part of Vivid, Sydney's famous light festival, and Darcy Byrne posted on Facebook saying, the mayor of the Inner West, an area of Sydney, for those who aren't familiar with, said, we're going to have our own light show. Drop your suggestions for what would be great for an Inner West light show below. And my good friend, Dixie, a.k.a. Joyride, said, I've got a really powerful green light. I think it'd be cool to shine it on the underside of planes. And Darcy Byrne said, great idea, mate. Send me an email.
That's good. That's very funny. Anyway, sorry for the long flashlight and flashlight adjacent material intro. I'll potentially shave some of that down or not include it. Who knows? Now, we have a guest today. Many of you may have heard in our last episode, we talked about the fact that Raf is currently in Europe. As you listen to this, Raf is in Europe.
Crazy.
Not right now, because you can hear him talking. But he may be in Europe when you listen to this. So we're filling it out with a rogues gallery of characters. We preempted this one a couple of weeks ago. We're joined by Tim Stewart, long-time Down Round listener. From day one, I would say.
And again, keen listeners to the show would have heard someone who's previously asked questions in the Down Round Q&As.
Yep.
I have.
No, you can talk.
You
Mate.
can
Can I
talk,
talk
mate.
yet? You can
Yeah,
talk.
you're allowed
Okay,
to
good.
talk.
I was waiting for the James Raff, and I didn't know what I was going to do
It's
yet.
not happening. We're doing do things a little bit differently
Okay.
these
No,
days.
so I'm going to take us back to probably one of the first Down Round Q&As or you know, in there somewhere. And I think the question you asked was something about, like, when's the next rugby league game going to come out?
That is a specific question I asked, and thank you both for having me here.
Yeah.
We're going to get to the bottom of it right now.
So Tim, Down Round fan, rugby league fan. And that's a perfect intersection for us to talk about a very Australian tech story, which is the Australian development of the rugby league games.
But I think it speaks to, like, a broader it speaks to the broader issues around the industry and games and licensing,
Games and Australia,
sports.
culture, sports.
Yeah, exactly.
It's big. It touches on all the down around areas. And Tim Stewart, as a huge rugby league fan
Thank you very much.
and a PS5 owner
Yes, I am. Thank you.
and a down around listener, it
All
really
three.
the
Triple
stars
threat.
the stars aligned.
Yeah.
So, Tim, you've been playing rugby league video games for a while, I would imagine.
I have. I believe I played the first one back in 2003, I believe, from the notes I sent through to you the other day, which you described as a Unabomber
Manifesto. Yeah.
Let's quickly explain to the non-Australians. Rugby
yes.
league is... Well, we don't need to explain it. It's a game. You probably get it. It's a game where they throw a
No,
ball.
actually, you know what? Let Tim explain it.
Well, where are the listenership? The non-Australian listenership, are they mainly...
Well, we got... there's a decent proportion in the United States,
Okay,
and then there's a good 10-ish to 12, 13% in Europe.
Okay, well, they would
The
be aware
Europeans
of...
would be aware.
Yeah, they've got rugby union.
Yeah, they know
Even
what
the
rugby
Americans
is.
probably know what that is.
The French know what rugby
Exactly.
is.
Rugby
Yeah.
league is a better version of that game that you are aware of. And yes, and we're here to talk about the video game version of that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's talk about the last time that a rugby league game was released.
The last time
Yeah,
Yeah.
before the current one.
Before
which
this
is in the
one?
news.
Like, why were you asking questions on the
Yeah.
Down Around podcast? Like, when's the next rugby league game being released? Like, when was the last rugby league game released?
2017.
2017.
Yes.
So for those listening at home, FIFA games come out every year.
Each
Well,
year.
they're called EA's
Yes.
Football Club now. Or whatever.
And
Yeah,
up
Madden.
until 2017, rugby league games came out at a reasonable clip. Not
Okay.
every year, but every 2 or 3 or 4 wasn't too bad
Okay.
before the 8-year drought, which
8-year
we've
drought.
now been relieved of.
Yep. And
In a manner in which we will discuss.
would you say that the rugby league community in Australia were red hot on a new rugby league video game?
They were, and I was a big part of that community. Well, sorry, I'm one man, but I was a loud part of that community, I guess you'd say. Or maybe the guys
Vocal. Well, you know, you
the
came
guys
onto our
at,
podcast.
the guys at Big Ant. Yeah,
Yeah, let's talk about Big Ant. Actually, that's a good
Yeah.
place to start. Okay, so Big Ant Studios produced the rugby league game. They produced the AFL game. Again, American listeners are going to be like, what the hell are they talking about? They produced the rugby league game, the AFL game, which is a different sport, and the rugby union game.
Yes.
Am I correct?
And cricket.
Yes. And
They make-
cricket.
And make
And
cricket.
cricket.
And Australian Open games. They make those as well.
yeah, like tennis games. Yes, yeah.
But we do have 3 different codes of what you would call rugby, I suppose, in America for the American listeners. We have 3 down here, and yet we're still all right at soccer. So riddle me that. But regardless, so Big Ant Studios produces, which I thought was Red Ant Studios. I think this is like a real.
The ant is red in their logo.
The ant is red in their
But
logo,
they-
but a lot of people.
It's also big.
I think there is a Red Ant Studios that is like
A
an
different
American,
thing?
a different video game studio, yeah.
Because in my mind, it was Red Ant Studios, but then I thought it was like Shaquille O'Neal in Shazam or whatever, one of them. You know
Okay.
those things?
No.
Mandela effect.
Mandela effect. Thank you.
Like
Yeah.
the Berenstain Bears.
Exactly.
Yeah, or like I think in America they have one about an ad that they're always fucking. The Fruit of the Loom.
Fruit of the Loom, yeah.
They're always talking about.
But I can't remember what what they think has been.
It's that there's a basket of fruit in the logo of Fruit of the Loom at some point, and
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
not.
and
They have bigger stuff to focus on.
They have bigger stuff to worry about.
By all means,
worry
get to the
about
bottom of that one. But there's some other stuff which
Going on in
not
America.
for this episode.
Not for this episode. No,
We're talking about rugby league. Anyway, so Big Ant Studios produces a bunch of kind of like regional sports games that. I mean, cricket you would think would have a big audience, but I suppose they're not but like they probably don't have as much dispensable income. A lot of the cricket audience as say for FIFA.
I reckon we are probably, and this is just an aside, but I reckon we are probably getting close to the point where you could make a great cricket game with a big international audience.
Yeah.
I reckon like there are enough people in the subcontinent who are craving a great cricket video game and probably have PlayStations.
Yeah, and that you could they could drop $100 on a game.
That you could put. I reckon you could. Or even if you priced it lower, I reckon you could. We're getting to the point where you could do that, and you don't have to rely on Australian studio Big Ant to get it across the line.
Yeah, and England. What are they doing in England? Are they playing Big Ant in England as
They
well?
are. And I also, without I don't want to preview the rest of this episode too much. The cricket game isn't too bad. I've played it. I know lots of people have played it. It's not great, but it kind of it roughly looks like cricket. Yeah, it kind of looks like it.
The last cricket game I think I played was on like the Sega. It was like Codemaster. It was like a British studio made.
Well,
I think it was the Shane Warne cricket game.
Yes,
I remember playing that on like the Sega. Yeah, this would have been late 90s.
I still remember some of the cheat codes for that very game.
Okay,
so,
yeah, there we go.
I played cricket on Meta's VR headset. So,
how'd that go for you?
Yeah, mate.
What was the last time you put on your Meta Quest?
I couldn't tell you. It's been months. And the last time was to put it on my brother's head to say, let's play the cricket game. And he faced a few overs. I will say, 120 k's an hour is faster than you think. When it's jumping at you.
There's a big sweaty British guy who plays that on like TikTok. And he talks about it like he has just batted in like Melbourne on Boxing Day against like Mitchell Johnson. Yep. And it's not. I believe it might be difficult, but he carries on like it's very, very difficult.
It is different to playing a computer game because like the ball does jump at you, and you know the human mind, as we've discussed many times before, you know, like we're talking about a thing that was molded, you know, walking across the savannah.
Yeah,
it finds it hard to tell the difference between what's real and what's fake when something's particularly immersive.
No, I get that. Does it prepare you?
For being out there?
At the MCG?
Not really, because we went to the nets on Boxing Day, actually, this, you know, a few months ago, and I wasn't seeing him like I was in the headset.
Okay.
Anyway, so now Big Ant Studios, the CEO of Big Ant, who does cricket, does AFL, union, as I said, tennis, and most importantly, rugby league. Yes. This anticipated game, the buzz started in 2021, is that right?
2021 was the whispers about this game being in development.
What was, before we get to this, so the 2017 game, what was the response like to that?
Rugby League Live 4, I believe. Look, it wasn't a great game, but I think in 2017, maybe people's expectations were a little bit lower, and people kind of put up with it. But it was pretty terrible. Yeah. And I played quite a lot of it.
Yep.
I'm a huge Rugby League fan, Canterbury Bulldogs fan.
Yep.
I put a lot of hours into that game, but it was never good. It was, no one would tell you that game was good.
Yep. But it was the understanding that it's all we got.
Yeah. I mean, it used to be, I think it's made by Big Ant, but it used to be guys called True Blue who were in Riverwood. That's where their office was. So,
okay. And if you're a Sydney local in particular, you know that Riverwood is also where the detention centre is?
No, that's Villawood. But Riverwood.
Okay.
Riverwood. Right. I did 4 weeks as a furniture removalist in Riverwood. So I know the area well. And you wouldn't expect too many A-grade games to be flowing out of Bonds Road, Riverwood.
You don't think the next Call of Duty is coming out of Riverwood?
I don't think so. Maybe some incidents that could feature in Call of Duty, but certainly not a game.
But then we got buzz around 2021 that a new one might be on the way.
Yes, 2021. So the first thing I saw, I saw two things. I can't remember which order they were. One was a leaked photo of a player getting scanned. So all the... I don't know what the word is. I've seen the word telemetric, maybe. That's not the word, but something like that. I've seen
telemetric scanning.
Sounds
right.
Something like that. Of a player getting scanned at the Tigers. The player who I believe has never played NRL. I can't remember his name. But that was the first thing I saw on Reddit, that people were getting buzzed. Like, hey, they're scanning their faces. This thing's coming. Here we go.
And is this about the time that you got in contact, or your communication started with the CEO of Big Ant Studios?
Well, prior to that, there was also a Reddit post where there's a subreddit called, I think it's r/Rugby League Live, which was 2, 3, and 4. I think they were called Rugby League Live.
For the game exclusively. Yeah.
For the game exclusively.
Active?
It's got about 500 members, which isn't huge.
Smaller end of a Reddit, but not the absolute bottom of Reddit.
No.
Should we give some background that you did previously work for Reddit?
I have worked for Reddit. Great website. Pump that share price, guys. It's going to go big. But I used to work there. But this was prior to me working there, I believe. Okay. But I was a guy that regularly Googled Rugby League Live 5 when coming. And one of the
Google ran out of results, you started asking the Downroad podcast.
Actually, as a former employer, huge source of traffic to Reddit is from Google. So I would end up on this subreddit, and there was a post that said, "Hey guys, hadn't heard anything about the next Rugby League Live game, so I decided to call up True Blue, who were the previous developers of the one before 4 or whatever it was. I'm not too sure." And then the guy was like, anyway, someone picked up, and I asked him when the rugby league live game is coming, and he just let out a big sigh and basically said, I can't talk about that.
Okay.
So this was 2021, but there was a bit of buzz that the game was coming. The fact that the game was released about a week ago probably tells you that buzz was a little bit premature.
Yeah.
But let's get to your. How did you start talking to the CEO via DMs?
Ross. And
where
Ross,
did this all begin?
Ross, if you're listening, and I really hope you are not. In fact, if you are, anyway.
Click it off, mate.
Yeah. So during the pandemic, I was playing a bit of cricket. It must have been Cricket 22. Which, by the way, there is Cricket 24, which was almost an identical game to Cricket 22, which we'll probably get into.
That's a bit of
foreshadowing.
That's a
The
foreshadowing, yeah.
But he was tweeting. So
Chekhov's knife, bit of a movie reference, am I right?
Chekhov's gun.
But imagine
don't
Chekhov's
bring a knife
knife.
to a gunfight.
I imagine Chekhov's knife
I think
works pretty similar to
I think that's better.
a knife instead of a gun.
Well, yeah, I feel like a knife is more visceral.
You wouldn't bring a knife to a gunfight, though, would you?
No, but imagine just like seeing a shot of a knife in a movie like 30 seconds in.
You'd be like, something's happening with that.
Quite evocative.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you. I've changed cinema. All right, sorry. Anyway, as you were. So
he, without going too deep on Ross, he's a very active CEO. So he will tweet about like patches to games and known issues in games quite frequently.
Yep.
Which pop up a lot on cricket. And he would always get a lot of abuse under his posts. But he posted about some fixes that were coming to Cricket 22. And in the midst of the pandemic, not a lot to do, as you may recall.
Yep.
I replied to Ross saying, I think I said, Ross, my leg spinner who bats 5, who is on the cusp of selection for Sheffield Shield. Again, American listeners, bit of homework to do. The file's corrupted. Please DM me so we can settle this out of court. And before Ross replied to me, some guy on Twitter replied saying, like 5 crying face emojis. Court? What are you talking about? It's a video game. It's not going to go to court. And then a friend of the show already mentioned, Rowan Dix, replied saying the Australian legal system actually takes this very seriously, which I had forgotten until I was looking into the history for this episode. But then Ross immediately DM'd me saying, hey, mate, send me the file name or send me the file code, whatever it was.
Yep.
We'll get that fixed for you.
this is the CEO of Big Ant
The
Studios.
CEO of Big Ant. I keep wanting to call it Red Ant now. The CEO of Big Ant Studios. And I was immediately embarrassed. I was like, hey, mate, I'm only kidding around. Like, it's fine. Don't worry. It was a bit of a joke about all the abuse you're getting. He was like, no, please. I'd love to fix this. Send it through and I'll get it fixed. And I was like, no, I'm happy to start again from scratch. You know, like
Start career mode again.
Exactly. And and since then we've kind of had a dialogue. Looking back through, in my memory, there was much more frequent conversations, but it kind of has mainly occurred around Rugby League 26.
But like, let's talk about Ross for a minute. You hear myths about this, like, game developers put out dodgy versions of their game onto the torrents or whatever, onto the piracy networks and whatnot, in order to screw over people who torrents. But like, he is very open about it.
Very open and very proud. The cricket game gets pirated prolifically, it seems. I think it gets pirated non-stop. And they do some actually really funny stuff to the pirates. So I thought it was just like they make the screen go completely blank or I think black and white if you're on like a pirated version. And this requires some knowledge of cricket. But one thing they do, which I found out, is if you're playing the cricket game on a pirated version, you always lose the toss.
So
the toss of the coin to see who bats first. You always lose it. And you're always batting second, which is the more fun part of the game.
And this is probably the same in baseball or whatever, but like in cricket, bowling, and I know that some people will say like, I actually love to bowl, including, again, friend of the show, Joyride, for whatever reason. He has like bowler characters in career mode. But like...
Guilty as well. I'm not going to...
But like bowling is really like a lottery, right? Like
It's the pokies.
It's the pokies, because you're just like bowling different balls, and I'm sure they like up the percentage if you go for like 5 balls in a row this way and then 1 ball that way, but like you're just hoping that the batsman fucks up.
I wish they were doing that. I doubt they are. But yeah, it's the pokies. Like, you have no control over whether a wicket falls or not.
Whereas batting, you actually do need to respond to the ball and
So what they do on
most people want to bat.
Exactly. Batting is the more fun part of the game. And what they do is you always lose the toss on the pirated versions. You always lose the toss. You always have to bat second. And when it's your turn to bat, they make it rain until the game gets cancelled. Which is so funny and would send you insane if you didn't know that was an intentional glitch. I mean, guys might have died from that happening to them.
Because you spend a whole innings bowling.
If they're playing test matches, which some guys have, I'm not going to name names, Rowan Dix and myself, I assume. But like, that would be a crazy thing to happen.
And then it rains, but then because you'd obviously assume like, geez, what are the chances of that? Oh well, time to go for it. Game number 2,
exactly.
And then second time you'd be like, what?
Yeah,
and then again,
and then maybe
you'd at least go 3 times.
Yes,
there shouldn't be a mechanic in any cricket game for the game to be rained out.
Yeah,
I'm afraid. I'm afraid it shouldn't be a mechanic.
Yeah,
no, totally.
And then it might drive you to Twitter where you would see Ross posting ha 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 ha, announcing the latest glitch is he has inserted into the game.
Because so this is it. Version. So you have people complaining on Twitter about or certain things, or the bowler bowling the ball and it going over their head, and you got Ross replying, be like, ha ha ha.
Yes,
You obviously pirated the game.
Exactly. However, I would say the legit game was also full of glitches that Ross would get hammered about at all times.
Yeah.
So we got an interesting. So we got a CEO, but you're in dialogue with the CEO.
Yes, I would say that.
We get. Your Majesty.
I'm acting like I'm already at court. Sorry, I'm not, and we're not going to be there. Right?
No, never.
So, just like, hey Ross, like.
So I started, as you mentioned, I had a successful campaign on Twitter with Darcy Byrne, the mayor, getting footy posts put back up, and I think in the pandemic it gave me a bit of a head of steam, and I thought I'd petition Ross to release a new rugby league game.
Yep.
And there was buzz about it. I assumed it was actually happening. I thought I was just kind of bugging about something that he was working on already. But then they released an AFL game, and again, a different code of, for American listeners, loosely rugby, I guess, whatever.
Yeah.
Well,
2025
football, but
yeah.
Well, but rugby union was first, right?
I think. Oh, I didn't even know what order they were.
Yeah.
But he would tweet about like patches to the AFL game, which I don't know if we want to talk about as well. Was also bad.
It didn't go down well.
Well, yeah. On launch day, there was very funny things happening, like the reserves bench was in the middle of the field and the ball would just hit it and bounce off. Or like you would score a goal and like the coach would be the goal umpire, like doing the signal.
Both things that rarely occur in the real game.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing I find about this, and I've never developed games, but like when the bench was appearing in the middle of the field, it's still like the physics still worked, right?
I believe
like,
so. I think the ball would hit it.
The ball would hit it and bounce off it, and you couldn't like run through it and stuff.
Which is
yeah. So good on them. They've solved one problem.
Yeah. But he would be tweeting about like, hey guys, like patches are coming soon to AFL, like soon, like the coach won't be the goal umpire or whatever. And I would reply like, hey Ross, an idea for a patch would be the object of the game is to force the ball into your opposition's, in-goal area, like rugby league. Like, and he kind of would maybe hit like, but he could ignore me. And I did that like in 100 different ways, like constantly. Again, it was the pandemic. I was employed, but very... Again,
loosely.
Loosely. I mean, full-time, but loosely.
No one was doing a whole lot of work during the pandemic, let's be honest, folks.
No. So that was...
I was a parent, mate. Speak for yourself.
There you go.
All right.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks for bringing the vibe
down. But yeah, that was kind of the ongoing dialogue until... Yeah.
Well, so I have it written 2025, a British guy talking about rugby union.
Oh, yes, the rugby union game. There's a lot of different football codes coming up.
Yep.
Again, 3 codes. This is we've talked about the AFL. That's 1 of 3. Rugby league's the one Tim's into.
Yeah.
We're waiting for rugby union. Oh, sorry. Rugby league's the one that we're waiting for that Tim's into.
Yes.
We're talking now about the rugby union game that came out. Again, by same studio.
Yes. And I have a passing interest in that sport, and I kept an eye on the reviews, and they were not amazing initially. And then recently, because I don't want to again, foreshadow the rugby league game we're going to discuss, but I went and checked out what people were saying about the rugby union game, and there was some British YouTuber saying, like, I'm not going to do the accent, but after 100 hours, I've got to say, save your money. And then 25 minutes of video, which I didn't watch. But it suggested to me that Big N hadn't nailed the rugby union game either.
Yep.
And the brief snippet of gameplay I saw was eerily reminiscent of something I've seen elsewhere.
And so I think that was probably last year, Rugby League 25. Because for whatever reason, these games always... The year is always 1 year ahead.
Yeah, they release
Why
it for the following year. Because then, I don't know, it gives them time to then release 1-2 years hence. That's for the... Well, I don't know. It's a good point.
They always do this. It's always 1 year in the future.
Because I think it includes, like, the codes for the plays for the next season or whatever, maybe. Well, maybe it doesn't.
Yeah, like FIFA is like... So the English Premier League crosses 2 years. So by the time you finish...
It's like a financial year stuff.
Yeah, kind of.
Kind of. Yeah, it's the season year. I think
we're doing financial year stuff. All right, whatever. So now, though, we're in 2025, which means they're releasing... I think AFL 26 they released.
Yeah, I think so.
Earlier this year. Sure. People are getting pretty hyped, though, that rugby league must be soon.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, none of this makes sense. If a game developer like releases one game, you're not like, well, then the other game's surely not far behind. But apparently, in this instance, it is.
Yeah, like there was no rhyme or it got announced. It got announced not that long ago, and it's already out. Like it probably got confirmed like less than 3 months ago.
Yep.
And there was some funny stuff around that as well. I don't know if we want to talk about that now.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, so there was the announcement, and then when was the Peter V'landys kind of announcement that his son was involved in some kind of committee?
I believe that was like a month ago. So the game got announced and no trailer was released, no gameplay footage, pretty much no information at all.
Yep.
Which is always a good sign.
Yeah.
And then there was an article in the Herald that Peter V'landys, so the chairman of the Australian Rugby League, I believe.
And let's stop on him for a moment because he's, in Australia, a little bit of a legend, I suppose, legendary figure. He's also head of, what is it, racing?
Racing New South Wales.
Racing New South Wales. But most importantly, like again in Australia, like AFL is the biggest winter code. It's the biggest football code in Australia. But Peter V'landys, chair of Rugby League, during the pandemic, Rugby League got going 1 week before the AFL.
Yeah.
Which was a huge victory for Rugby League.
Yeah.
And that they were able to, navigate the bureaucracy, the logistics, everything, and get it going before the biggest code in the country. And that kind of like, he was showered with accolades, I suppose, because of that. And he's just seen as someone who's like, he can get stuff done. With racing.
One of his current missions is trying to get Americans to like rugby league. He's trying to...
the Vegas stuff, right?
Vegas. He's trying to get Americans intrigued by rugby league as a bounce off from gridiron, obviously.
But he is like a classic...
He's a hustler.
I see him as like a classic Australian businessman.
Oh,
like a real kind of like...
He's like a Kerry Packer-esque kind of guy.
Get things done, people person, like... just make things happen in an old school way.
Yeah.
Which, it's a dying breed, some would say.
Yes. Yeah. I think some of the sheen has come off him since that, but I think there's still plenty around. A lot of people still revere him for being like, I think he was like, we'll be back playing on May 13. And everyone's like, you're crazy. And then they were. So, he kind of pulled that off. And also like changes the rules when he wants, and most of them have seemed to kind of work. So he's a bit of a...
Well, the hardcore are probably anti that, but in general, I think
he's a
rules
divisive figure, but like some people see him as like a demigod of rugby.
Yeah, fair. Yeah. Anyway, so Peter V'landys, his involvement is...
quite an amazing involvement. About a month out from the game, there was an article saying that there was some disquiet that Peter V'landys had placed his own son in a focus group that was tasked with approving the new rugby league game, Rugby League 26. This article in the Herald was basically saying, there's no big deal. I'm just putting my son in there because he plays FIFA and NBA games. So, like, why can't he help out?
Which is a dark portent because it is never going to be as good as those games.
No. They came out each year, like we said, 8-year gap.
Multi-billion-dollar enterprises.
Yeah. And the chairperson of the code... putting their son into the focus group a month out from launch That's when, for me, alarm bells were already ringing, but they got a little bit louder.
Yep.
When I heard that, I would say.
Yep.
They were ringing. Yep.
And so what's your chats in the DMs at the moment with Ross, the CEO?
So at that point with Ross, I hadn't spoken to Ross for a couple of years at that point, maybe a year or so. My most recent message to Ross was saying, Ross, can you confirm there's a new rugby league game coming? And Ross said, I can't comment. And I said, that sounds like a yes. And he said, please don't post. It's really that I can't comment. So that, again, we're going back a year or so there. But that was when I was like, the alarm bells, like I said, there's a few things that have rung the alarm bells.
Yep.
That was another one. I was like, that seems like a strange situation. But then once it was announced, I DM Ross asking what a guy would have to do to get a look at an early copy. And being the kindly CEO that he is, Ross said he'd send me a code once it was ready. He actually said, whenever I get them, like, lol. And I was like, you're the CEO. Like, probably should
You've
know
got
that.
it, mate.
Yeah, anyway. So that was prior to launch, that was my dialogue with Ross. That he promised me a code for a free download.
And he did supply it.
Yeah, he did. But like, before he supplied it, were there some rugby league players who kind of posted about having early access?
There was some rugby league influencers who got some early access.
What was the tone of that?
Well, one of them took to Instagram and said he'd played it. And the way he described it was, so the previous two games were called Rugby League Live 4 and prior to that, Rugby League Live 3. And he described it as a combination of Rugby League Live 4 and Rugby League Live 3.
Okay. Yeah.
And he looked like...
I mean, you know, I guess hopefully
8 years of development, and that's what they'd come up with. And then he said, like, his tone was that of a person who had euthanized their dog, I would say. And another thing that rang some alarm bells was Brandon Smith, a rugby league player, was on the radio and was asked about it. He'd had early access.
Can I like, who on the radio is asking him about like a rugby league game?
It was another Triple M. I'm not even sure. A Triple M talking head, not a player. They said, you've had early access. What's it like? And he said, look, they don't have the budget of FIFA or those games. I'm just glad there's a rugby league game on the market.
Yeah. He was like, it's great to just see a rugby league game and be part of it.
Yeah. He was like, it's cool to see yourself on the game.
Yeah.
And I was like, you can do that on all the games. Like the real one. And that's what I do. And not to go on an aside, but like that's how I game. Is I create a player called Tim Stewart, and like
it's the fantasy,
and I make him look like me, and then I play.
That's sick.
And to say that is possible on this latest iteration would be a stretch.
Oh, okay.
But that's the feedback from the players who are in the game. Is it's great this exists.
Yeah, I'm glad this exists.
I'm glad someone's having a crack.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All right, so then. You do get, as you said before, you get a code.
Yes.
Early. So you haven't had to pay for it.
No. So launch day, Ross.
So they lost $100.
They lost $100
because I assume you would have paid.
And
for
I
it.
saved $100. Absolutely. I messaged. So that was about a week before. Ross had said I'll get you a code, or 2 weeks before. And on launch day, I just messaged Ross on Twitter saying, "Good luck with the launch, Ross." And being the CEO he is, on launch day when things weren't going swimmingly, he replied with a code, which I promptly entered into my PS5, which I had never done before. I didn't know how to do that. I had to Google it, which would be weird if I had done that. But yes, and I received a free copy of the game.
Wow.
So what's the response? How was it? How's the game? Let's give maybe your review, and then we'll go with like the broader response.
I think that probably the best way to summarize my review would be at like, 9:30, I was like, good luck with the launch, Ross, and got a code. And then maybe 3 hours later, I downloaded the game and played it. And then an hour after that, I was tweeting that like Ross should be arrested by the ACCC. And I don't think they have the powers of arrest, but
no, they don't.
Rod Sims, if you're listening, get the badge and gun, brother. But it is the 2017 game with like updated player faces.
They've not done anything.
They
for
have
the last
not
8 years.
Changed it. It is like it is a heist. Maybe I
They've
can't
stolen
say that.
money from. No, it's fine.
Allegedly.
I didn't get heisted.
No, exactly. You got it for free. That's sad. Well, look, my exposure to it is that I think while we were talking about doing this episode, I started getting TikTok served to me, which were rugby league fans and rugby league influencers reviewing the game. And normally when you see like video game stuff on TikTok, they're showing the game, they've got voiceovers. Sometimes they cut back to guys talking to camera. There was none of that. These reviews.
These are not video game reviewers.
These are not video game reviewers.
So do you think they've reviewed many video games?
No, I don't think so. They don't have the infrastructure. It's mostly the angriest guys you've ever seen pointing down the barrel of the camera and like saying that they have had their money stolen by a company. So like they're too angry to actually review the mechanics of the game and how it works and the gameplay. It's mostly them being like, give me my money back.
Yeah.
This is not right.
This is what's fascinating to me. Like, Ross is a big figure in this community. Like, people are aware of Ross.
Ross is like bigger than the big ant. Ross is the face of.
He's known. He's a known entity.
Like, yeah.
They know him. Yeah.
Like, one of those guys who I follow, who is a rugby league influencer, did like a 3-minute piece to camera, like solemn about how bad the game was, and he used the word egregious. And
first time he's probably said that.
It is 100% the first time in his life he's said that word, and he nailed it. Like,
good on him. Good on him.
Yeah, it's the same game, and like I said, the 2017 game was pretty bad, and then 8 years later they re-released it with like
new faces.
Like, now the sponsors are correct and the faces are updated and nothing else has changed, and we brought in like 100 new glitches. Like,
and I thought, didn't you say that like in the interim there were guys that were like modding the game to include contemporary sponsors?
That's probably well worth mentioning. In that 8-year gap, there is like this community. This is the guys I feel sorry for. This is the reason that I immediately called upon the ACCC to get involved. There is like 100, maybe I didn't know how many. There is maybe thousands of the sweetest guys you've ever met, patiently like updating player rosters and like custom uploading logos to jerseys in the 2017 game.
And you can kind of like download them.
You can download like the community teams.
Yeah, every game kind of does this. And this is also a workaround in a bunch of different games where like they won't have licenses to the actual jerseys or the actual stadiums or the actual players. But so the games themselves are like, but we allow this kind of open source community teams, and you just download the Australian team. And
you could download like the Bulldogs 2025 roster that some guy had created, and you'd have the updated roster. And there's guys been patiently doing that who would be so excited for this game to come out.
Updating the sponsors is real rough.
Oh man, like uploading like an M&J Chickens logo to your PS4 or whatever. Like, I don't even know how you do that. That's crazy.
That is crazy.
Yeah,
yeah.
And they've done that. And then this game was coming, and these guys were so excited. And I'm one of them. I didn't upload
That's
the rosters.
why I got you on here, mate.
Yeah, I didn't upload the rosters,
expert.
but I downloaded the rosters.
There we go.
Absolutely, I did.
So this is, I mean, to bring this into down around areas, to give the context, people are like, why the fuck did I
The whole thing is down around areas, mate.
It is included down areas, but like the business side of it is that we're obviously stuck in a narrow zone where sports video games, especially in the big 2025, are very
big 2025.
They're expensive endeavors, right?
Yeah.
EA Sports is obviously the big one, and then 2K Games do basketball and a few of the other ones. They do some of the combat sport ones, and they have like EA Sports and 2K have their own territories. Like EA Sports gave up on doing basketball games when the 2K games started rinsing them.
Yeah.
And they are unbelievably expensive. They have an insane, depth of developer talent that are working on it. Plus the fact that when you're making an NBA game, or especially a soccer game, a football game, association football is played by 1 billion plus customers. Rugby league is enjoyed by the east coast of Australia, plus the north of England.
A little bit of New Zealand.
The Pacific Islands.
Yeah.
And I think that might be it.
Yeah. That is. Even the East Coast is.
It's not all of them.
Because it's not all of it.
Yeah, Victoria doesn't play
75% of the East Coast of Australia.
Yeah.
So you are looking at an audience of a few million people.
Yeah, a few tens of millions.
Tens of millions of people, max.
But a passionate few.
A passionate few. So EA Games is not going to make a rugby league game. They're not going to make an AFL game.
And this is the thing, though, as well. Like, right? Like, see people being like, can't EA make this?
I've seen that comment 100 times.
It's like they're just not
and
gonna
made
do
it myself maybe 5.
And the very funny thing is that EA Games' CEO Andrew Wilson is Australian.
Yeah.
He's one of this is
from Victoria or some shit.
He's from Victoria.
There's a problem, rugby league wise.
And he's an AFL fan, I believe, and he used to be the head of EA Sports. EA Games is what, like I think it's like a $70 billion company, $60 or $70 billion company. Big company. Big company. You know, you could not be in a better position if you wanted a great AFL game than like an Australian AFL fan runs the biggest sports games company in the world. And even he clearly can't get it over the line. Even he knows I can't have this game made in my studio. It's got to be football. It's got to be whatever.
Of course.
So you end up in this very funny position where it's like Australia has a games industry and they put out a lot of great games. They don't put out any AAA blockbuster games these days. They used to, but they don't anymore. So you're in this zone.
What did we used to put out? Give me an example.
LA Noire.
LA Noire, I remember that.
LA Noire,
okay.
that was made by a studio called Team Bondi. That was one of the last big Australian AAA games.
And why can't we do it anymore? Have we forgotten how?
We've forgotten how, folks.
Let's get that band back together.
Yeah,
Team
yeah.
Bondi, if you're listening.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're in this weird, hilarious position where it's like tons of very passionate Tim Stewarts who would love... I'm not putting you in the bucket with some of the, like, pointing down the camera.
There's some I want to be in the bucket with, some I don't.
Some I don't, yeah.
But I would also say people who typically kind of... I don't know how I phrase this, but the thing about the Western audience is that we expect to have, like, our needs satiated to a certain extent.
That's true.
We get everything else. Like, you know what I mean? Like, from an entertainment perspective.
That's true. And, like, you know...
And the sport, by the way.
The
like,
sport
the sport
itself.
here is huge.
It's huge. And, like, you see the grand final and there's a fuckload of money put into
Katy
it.
Perry's
Katy Perry plays at the halftime.
You know, like, it's a huge sport.
But-
in the biggest stadiums, like, you compare the stadiums in Australia to the stadiums anywhere else in the world, and they're huge stadiums with people, you know, watching it. But
the budget for the game is, like, lower than an indie game in the US.
yeah.
And they need to, like, do physics and clips. They're very complex games to make, obviously. It's a hilarious position to be in.
Well, I mean, I've always noticed that on AFL games or whatever, and again, I probably haven't checked in here for a good decade, but like even the bounce of an ovular ball, the physics seems quite hard. They haven't nailed it. They haven't nailed it. Like having an ovular ball bounce on the ground,
it gives you a great deal of respect for the guys that are making FIFA and whatever.
Yeah, but that's a round ball.
That's easy.
It's ovular. Yeah,
Ross would shit that in if you get a round ball.
Madden or whatever.
But that ball never touches the fucking ground. They blow the whistle as soon as the ball hits the ground. You know.
So what you're saying to me is that even if EA Sports tried to do it,
I'm just
the ovular ball would fuck them up.
I don't know if we've mastered the ovular ball when it comes to JavaScript.
My little my example that just this is not the exact same problem for why Australian sports games don't work, but I think it's a telling story. Is one of my mates from high school, his brother played for the Central Coast Mariners.
Wow.
Which is in the Australian A-League, the top flight of Australian Association Football Soccer. And there was 1 year, I think maybe we were in our like early 20s or whatever, and his brother was playing for the Mariners. And FIFA did that thing where it was like a big dramatic thing. They opened it up and they started including teams and players in every league across the world. It was like a real show of force. They were like, we're including everything.
Yeah.
So as a result, my mate's brother was in FIFA.
Yeah.
And his face was absolutely fucked up. Because obviously they hadn't scanned everyone.
No.
So they approximated it. They guessed at what his stats would be based on like
there was
his
some
recorded scores or whatever.
Yeah, like let's be honest, like there's some guy in some outsourced kind of agency, probably
Who
in the
looked
Philippines,
looked at a photo of him and like dragged some
things, and then moved immediately on to the next A-League player.
And I remember it was a big moment.
And then
for
they
us.
moved over to New Zealand, and then they moved to the Pacific
Like
Islands.
you've got Ronaldo with his perfectly rendered face, and then my mate's brother,
a potato,
looking like a fucking squashed lemon,
looking like his photo was taken
And when
on
I was-
an Android.
and I was
dare I
like,
say?
and I was like, Jesus Christ, this is as high as Australian sports representation gets in AAA video games, and this is what they've done to the face of a man that I've seen personally at his house in real life.
But like weirdly, that's the only thing Big Ant do is like scan the
The
faces.
scanning. Yeah.
So you're like, fuck, that looks exactly like Stephen Crichton. And he just throws the ball 70 meters vertically in the air. You're like, okay, that looked like him though. You're like,
I've not seen him do that.
he doesn't often do that one, but like, look at his chin. Like, it's crazy. Like, that is the problem, I think. They pump all their money into like Belmore Sports Ground, like Bulldog Spiritual Home. Like, the 2-story house behind the in-goal is like inch perfect to the one that's actually there.
Okay.
But then the players are like running backwards and like the commentary doesn't start till 45 minutes into the game. Like, that's the one thing they've done.
So they did improve that stuff.
The faces are great.
Well,
Faces
also,
are great.
isn't
The
the other
grounds
thing,
are great.
they've got like the kind of unwrapping dynamic or whatever, the like a unboxing thing. What do you call it? Like in Fortnite?
Yeah, like the gacha mechanics or like the loot boxes.
Loot box.
That like FIFA Ultimate Team, I think it is.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not an expert on this. I don't play that. Like I said, I'm a guy who puts my face on, puts my name Tim Stewart in, and plays.
Plays that myself and fantasizes that I want
and not online. I don't want to be called the R slur in the inbox on PlayStation.
Okay, well maybe you're not a real gamer.
I'm not at all. In fact, I remember asking you, should I buy Elden Ring? And you said no.
Yeah, and you did it.
And I bought it and returned it within like 40 minutes. I bought the physical copy and took it back.
God.
I know.
Oh, you took a physical copy back?
Yeah.
This is sad.
knew.
This is sad.
I saw with Elden Ring, again, not a hardcore gamer to say the least. I just saw people being like, this is really hard. And I was like, that's a game I'm never going to play.
Yeah.
Like, when gamers are saying it's really hard, it's like, oh, well, it's not for me.
Yeah. I told you that.
I know you told me and you were right. Like 90 seconds in, there was a big monster and I was like searching for an ingredient. And I was like, what am I doing? And I took it back and changed it for some game they also played for like 8 minutes.
Okay. And all you wanted was Rugby League.
I was searching for Rugby League. I was searching for Ross the whole time.
And you never got it.
But yeah, they brought in the Ultimate Team type thing, which is like you unbox, kind of like baseball cards. You unwrap the card and you get like a
What does it give you?
emeralds, like
emerald.
Nathan Cleary. Or
An
whatever.
emerald Nathan Cleary.
And I don't know what that means, but there's like influencers like posting on Instagram like, here we go, chat, like, oh, no way, what just happened? And they got like, whatever.
Okay. That's what they're going for.
They're
going for that little boo-boo vibe.
Yes, and then that like game mode where you play with those players like immediately went down for maintenance and broke. Like, I can't describe to you how bad this game is.
So
and once again, Ross, keep working. You might improve it, but
So people who like unbox like the rare
like best player in the game, and going nuts about it, and then that game style promptly crashed. And like if you look at Big Ant's Twitter, it's just them troubleshooting like. Everyone's like balances will be restored at 6 p.m. Melbourne time.
Because do you have to pay real money for these? Or?
I don't know because Ross also gave me credits with my code. I don't know how to use them, but I don't know if I think they probably do cost money.
It feels like it's a loot box dynamics. Like all of this thing, it's like you probably get one. I mean, again, I don't know what's happening in rugby league, so I'm not talk about that, but. You get one every game or whatever, but if you pay $20, you can have 30 or whatever.
Again, it comes down to the fact
and then the players get like that player gets to wear a sweet outfit or whatever it is.
So I would like the UK, England, and Scotland as well. They actually have like a AAA games industry where they make prestige games that play at the top flight of anyone else. And there are rugby league fans in the north of England. Who are like, my only option is to play this game from an Australian studio.
Yeah, and in France, like they do play rugby league in France.
Yeah.
And like, you know, they would play. There's 2 games that
they're
would
like,
play.
we have Ubisoft.
Okay, I play FIFA.
Yeah,
and now I will play rugby league. Rugby. Oh la vache! Oh la la! Oh la merde! C'est de la merde! Oh! C'est foot engoulé! Oh! C'est quoi? Oh la la!
They would probably be exactly like that. That's a great point.
Ross very thankfully doesn't speak French, but there was like a British tweet from an English guy, and I think it was legit, being like, "Wow, we asked for this, and they've brought it into the game. Kudos, Ross." And it's like they've brought dirt into the game. It's just like a guy's arm covered in mud, like a screenshot of that. It's like, is there anything more English than being like, this shitty game needs to be more wet, and damp. Like,
It needs to be dirtier and
it
more
needs to
wet.
be dirtier and damper. It's like, and then like,
Okay,
man, yeah, I know.
if that's
Ross
what
must be
gets it.
longing for those fans. Like, we can dial up the mud 150%
We
if you
can
want.
definitely bring them on. Although, unfortunately, the ball will still go vertically 500 metres. But we can certainly make the players wetter.
It does amaze me how in certain like that Ross is so famous, and that's just like how are these guys who are kind of yelling at their screen on TikTok, be like how are they yelling at Ross? Like how is everyone across Ross?
I think he must be. He tweets a lot.
He tweets a lot.
I think he's doing the big ant Twitter as well. I'm pretty sure because
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
tweeting
right.
politically
That's
anyway. But like, that kid I was talking about who's like unboxing the players and going nuts. Like his comments are like, "You are such a Ross cuck," Ross cuck, which is really funny. And one of them was me, but but like, yeah, Ross being the like, I can't imagine like if GTA 6 sucks, everyone's tweeting the CEO's name. Just doesn't seem like something that's going to happen. No. But Ross is he's the face of this game.
He's the face of the game.
It may improve.
But they're kind of are they addressing it? Big Ant?
Their Twitter is very funny to read through. Like I think I sent it through to you guys, but like Ross, like they tweet something about, hey, we're going to restore all your like coin balances 6 p.m. Melbourne time. And someone replied like, Ross, I'm so drunk. And Ross replied, I wish I was. CEO of the studio. Like, and he says about like I'm hallucinating. It's like 40 hours awake. I'm like, that is not the CEO life that I envisage.
No,
were I ever to be one.
No, you don't. You don't want to. Yeah,
yeah.
You know, like ideally in the CEO's life, you never want to interact with a customer.
No.
I think like the dream of the CEO is you never have to interact with a customer.
Yeah.
You might do it as a stunt.
Yeah.
They might be like, well, I'm doing like, I'm going out to the people. I'm finding out what our users actually do.
Yeah, like Uber, like...
that's right. I'm driving an Uber today.
Yeah.
And I'm going to speak to the people who use Uber. But you never want to be in a situation
Ross, I highly advise you don't do that.
You never want to be in a situation, where you're speaking to a drunk customer saying, I wish I was you.
Yeah.
So there we go, folks. Never let anyone tell you that Down Around doesn't fully answer or address every question that lands in our inbox.
Exactly. You asked us 3 years ago.
I asked us 3 years ago when Rugby League was coming. It did come eventually through no help from us. And we wanted to follow up. We wanted to make sure that it was everything you hoped for. And as you could probably learn from the last hour of conversation, probably about that much, it wasn't everything you hoped for.
No.
But we hope that maybe it will come up in the future.
There are regular patches. We'll just keep waiting. Ross, keep going, brother. Keep
going,
grinding.
keep going, right?
Very last question. Your brother, Chad Profits?
My brother of mine. Yes, Chad Profits. Follow him on LinkedIn.
Yeah. Is he? He's got a job, or is he's persevering as an entrepreneur?
He's an entrepreneur. He'll never be a salary man ever again. He regularly is for brief kind of 1 week stints.
No, so say we all. Yeah.
But no, he's an entrepreneur.
Okay,
all
right. Yeah. Jump. You should
check on
follow
LinkedIn. Chad Profits.
Chad Profits.
See how he's going.
Chuck him a connection on LinkedIn.
He'll accept.
Oh, he will.